I'm going to talk about a concept which is perhaps gone a little out of fashion. Welcome to Subramani. I hope you have clicked on the bell icon and you have become a subscriber. I'm going to talk about this concept of today anybody who wants to buy an equity share largely wants to buy because he is sure that it will appreciate over a period of time, right? That is what. But I remember in the 80s, we used to buy shares, at least I used to buy shares simply because I was getting good dividend. So whether it was an Apollo hospital bought at 9 rupees 70 paise for a 10 rupee share, or a HDFC Limited bought at 97 rupees for a 100 rupee share, it was all the same thing, right? We needed dividends, and that was the only thing which we thought was certain. I remember even in the late 80s, 85, 86, Coromandel International, Cholamandalam, which have been in my portfolio since then, were all very good dividend yields. So I would look at it and say, oh, it's giving good dividends. There used to be this company called Pressure Cooker Appliances, now you more famously known as Hawkins Cooker. Hawkins Cooker used to accept fixed deposits, and the fixed deposit and the dividend yield would be more or less same. And I would wonder, why would people not buy shares which were giving dividends very close to the interest rates which they were paying on their fixed deposits? You know, that is the kind of but suddenly it seems to have gone out of fashion, and people don't realize that even in the US today, I have exact numbers from a mutual fund. The returns, the average return generated over a long period of time, 42% of the returns have come from dividend. 42% of the Dow from 1930 to 2017, which is a very long period of time. 42% of the money of the income which is accrued to the shareholder is in the form of dividends, and dividends can happen only when you hold over extended and long periods of time. You have to hold for 20-30 years for the dividend to be significant and for you to make money. You can't be holding for 1 year, collect the dividend and go. That's not the purpose. So the whole purpose is to be when you are a value investor, looking for dividends. But please understand, value investing and dividend based investing are very closely connected, but there will be some subtle differences. I would almost be using these terms interchangeably, but remember, very academically speaking, it's not exactly the same, because I can look for a lot of value in the growth. But in this, when we are talking of dividend based investing or investing for dividend, I'm not exactly talking of value investing, but yes, there will be some overlap between value investing and dividend based investing. So what are the reasons why you should be looking at companies which pay a lot of dividend? One, like I said, 42% of the return over such a long period of time has come from dividend. Also, you remember, I mean, of course, most of you would not will not be able to remember. Even I don't really remember except by reading history books. The 1974 oil shock sent earnings nosediving in places like the US. Inflation was high and it was in bad shape. In the 70s decade, 73%, let me repeat, 73% of the return which investors got was because of dividends. So you see why the Grahams and the Buffetts of the world have placed so much importance on dividend, because they have gone through the real bad phase when the biggest thing that they got was dividend in the 70s. So if you take 2020 August, or rather 2020 March year ended, and the dividends for which are coming, every company has hiked the payout ratio. So what is the dividend payout ratio? The company earns an X amount and the company decides to normally pay about 30%. I'm saying just general as a rule. But this year, that same company, instead of paying 30%, would be paying 42% or 45% or even 65%, because they know that this is an aberration kind of an year, and when the earnings will not be good. So next year, some companies may skip dividend, some companies may be forced to skip dividend, like HDFC Bank. there's an RBI diktat saying banks will not pay dividend, maybe NBFCs won't pay dividend, right? So those kind of diktats are there by the RBI, but that is quite a rarity. But companies might reduce the payout, saying let us conserve cash, let's see what's happening. Or they might say, let me hike the dividend so that the shareholder does not suffer, right? So both those things. So first, obviously, because in the long-term capital gain, major portion has got to be dividends. Now, there are companies which do, there are organizations in India which do wealth study, which very conveniently ignore dividends, and they have absolutely no reason, and they give you some amazingly stupid reasons, like saying dividend payouts in India are quite low, and to me it makes no sense, because it's not just the function of the rate of dividend, is a question of consistency of dividend. Now, if you take a company like HDFC, I think it has uninterrupted dividends since 1981, HDFC Limited. Now, if you have been paying dividends since 1981, every rupee that is received as a dividend, I mean, it's part of the return of capital which I had put, so I'm getting a return on that. If I had used the same to buy more shares, today I will have an amazingly large number of shares. We're trying to do a study on a few companies. We realize the importance of dividends. So first, dividends are the biggest portion of your return, or it is 40% over a 70-year period. And I do think that people should hold shares over 70-80 years, because it's a family heirloom. You pass on from generation to generation. You live off the fruits, but you don't really pluck the tree, right? So what are the fruits in equity called? They're called dividend. So it is your moral duty to make sure that the next of your generation gets more than what you got, adjusted for inflation. That's something basic which you could be doing. So if you have inherited a portfolio, keep enhancing the portfolio, but I am digressing. Dividends are a major portion of your income. Like I said, in the US, it's about 40%. In India also, it must be somewhat true, because if you take the Sensex has moved from 100 in 1979 to about 40,000 today, approximately. And the TRI is at about 65,000. So, which means about 50% more, definitely 50% more than what the return that you have got just by appreciation. So, yes, it is 20,000 out of 40, so about 1/3 of the returns is from dividend. That is on the index. Again, if you take individual companies, it might be slightly more or less. So you'll have to sit and calculate to see how much would your shares be worth. How much would your HDFC Limited shares be worth if you take all the dividends from 1981 till today, assuming that all the dividends went in buying back the share. Some rough calculations show that even if you had just bought 100 shares in 1981, which was a big amount of money, about 10,000 rupees, and then you got a couple of fully convertible debentures at very attractive prices. If you have taken them, this year your dividend which you receive would be in the region of 25 lakhs. Now 25 lakhs will allow you to buy about, 1700 is the price, or 1800 is the price for HDFC Limited. So just calculate how many shares you could have bought. I think somewhere in the region of 1200, 1300 shares you could have bought with the dividend. So 13 times your initial number, which was 100, today you are able to buy 13 times. Next year it would only be 13.5 or 13.25 or 14, right? It keeps going up. So dividends are a good long-term source, and over a long period of time, what happens, now again HDFC Limited makes a very interesting reading, because in the initial stages it had very low, it had a very high dividend yield. It had a dividend yield in excess of 4%. Yes, interest rates that time were high, but largely what happened was the price was not discovered by the market. Please understand, value investing always comes with the word discovery. You think it is value. After you think it is value, you buy, and then you want the whole market to discover the value, because only when the market discovers the value do you get a return. So if you see the ICICI fund, it's called Value Discovery Fund, right? The value has to be discovered. No point in having a value and nobody discovering it. So it has to be that process. So if you see dividend growth stocks, fairly obvious that somebody who is buying for dividend will keep holding on and will take the dividend and buy more shares. So dividend growth stocks have performed better than the general overall market. Having said that, please understand that some excellent companies don't pay dividend for very long periods of time, because they are in the investing mode. For example, Google wouldn't have paid dividend, Apple wouldn't have paid dividend, Microsoft wouldn't have paid dividend for a very long period of time when they are in the investing mode. I remember HDFC Bank telling the shareholders, we have no money to pay dividend, talking of 95, 96, 97 times, saying we need to reinvest, we need to invest that money back into our systems, back into people, back into training, right? So it's a growth phase, it's difficult to pay dividends. But a mature company like HDFC Limited today will be very happy to pay dividends because they don't really need so much of money to be plowed back. They build their offices, they build their teams, they build their people. So now it's just, if adding a branch is not really very capital intensive. So there are times when it won't pay dividend, but largely companies will pay dividend, and over a period of time they outperform the basic index. So that is true over because fairly obvious, if I bought a Colgate and I'm getting good dividend, and all the dividends I'm using to buy more shares of Colgate, the demand is greater than the supply. Same thing for HUL, same thing for Asian Paints, same thing for HDFC Bank, same thing for going forward it will happen to the other well managed companies also. Will also say, okay, let me conserve some cash, but let me have a 20% payout or a 30% payout, right? So reliance is what, value or growth? Because till about some time back it was more like value, but now all the further value is perhaps likely to come from growth. But they'll still pay dividend because it's a company with various divisions, so it will still pay dividend. So dividend stocks, people love consistency, shareholders love consistency. They love the fact that this company earns 1 rupee, they pay 30 paise as dividend, right? Dividend payout ratio. I have a take on retirement. I mean, if you see, I mean, fairly obvious that I have the retirement orientation. I have a feeling that when a person is even 27, 28 and is thinking of retirement, one thing he or she should do is build a portfolio based on dividend, and hopefully that dividend should be able to take care of his or her retirement. In my case, that is exactly what I have done. So what happens is, when you're say 27, 28 and you decided to build a portfolio orienting you towards your retirement, it's a great way to accumulate. Now for people like me, that accumulation process would have started sometime in the 1980s. But what happened from 1991 till today, the dividends were tax-free. Tax-free in the sense it was not taxed in our hands, and there was no capital gains tax, no long-term capital gains tax on equity. That meant that accumulating equity over a period of time became very easy. So you could shift from one company to other. Let's say you could shift from HDFC Limited to HDFC Bank, or Coromandel Fertilizer to E.I.D. Parry, or E.I.D. Parry to Coromandel Fertilizer. You know, I'm talking of some logical shifts. Even selling in the market to do an arbitrage opportunity, all that being tax-free, it was good fun building a portfolio during that period. But a 10% tax should not deter you. So right from your age of 27, 28 till your age of 60, if you can pick up one share every year, right? I'm talking of one share every year. Today, people who have opened accounts would love to buy one share every hour. I'm not talking every hour, I'm talking of every year. By the time you're 60, you would have built a fantastic portfolio which will allow you to retire. Yes, if you have been reasonably lucky or very lucky, chances are that you will be able to make a early retirement simply because your shares performed well. But remember, for building this portfolio, it's going to take a long time, and when you're 30, you have that with you. You have 30 years to go. Now, if your father has built a portfolio, you have to just build on that. You have to make sure that you know when to buy, when to sell, and keep on building on that portfolio. But yeah, you need only 14, 15 shares, maybe 30 over a period of 30 years. You don't require more than that. The other advantage of building a dividend oriented portfolio for retirement is it is available for life, because dividend keeps growing. Normally dividend keeps growing at a rate greater than inflation, so perennially you will never have to touch the principal which you have kept, right? So that remains intact. Every year you will get dividend. Suppose your annual expenses are 5 lakhs and this year your dividend was 6,25,000. That's fantastic, right? That 1,25,000, maybe you put it into ELSS growth option, and that 5 lakhs is enough for you to run your household. That's it. So next year your dividend income will definitely go up from 6.25 to 7.25 or 7.5 or something like that. So which means your inflation is taken care of. That's what I was deriving at. So that is a huge advantage that you have. Second, far more importantly, because your returns are dependent on dividend also, you are not going to be worried too much about the fluctuation in price, right? So in a year when current year, suppose the pandemic means that the market goes down. Market has not gone down, but I'm assuming that suppose the market goes down from 42,000 to 32,000 or something like that. What would happen is your portfolio would look small, but your dividends may not be slashed. Yes, there will be exceptions, like I said about HDFC Bank, but normally all the companies would strive to pay dividend during a bad year also. They may dip into their reserves, they may dip into and get into a higher payout ratio. Instead of 30%, they may pay a higher, may do a higher one. But chances of them skipping dividend are remote, but yes, it's not that it can't happen. But the market fall could be something like 25%, but dividend fall of 25% is almost unheard of in a regular time. Yes, company doing a bad project and suffering because of that, like we saw Tata Power suffering, that is a different thing. But under normal circumstances, dividend only goes up and grows up by a rate which is greater than inflation. So if 7% is the inflation in India, and your dividend goes up by 11% or 10% also, fine, you kept pace with inflation. That is what we are looking for in a portfolio which is going to create income from dividends. So market underperformance does not bother you anymore, because you know that you are going to get your dividend, and that is what you are looking for. You need the cash flow. Now the advantage is, if you are young, if you are 30 years of age and you are starting to build your portfolio, you can take all the dividends and obviously you must reinvest it in the same share. So if you've got dividends from Colgate, go and buy Colgate. You've got dividends from HDFC Bank, go and buy HDFC Bank. That is the way you grow your portfolio. Like this 30-year-old who is growing it to 60, every year he will have enough opportunity to buy more shares, and after some time he will have so much cash that he will be able to really buy big quantities of, like I said, if you had 100 shares of HDFC Limited, today your dividend will allow you to buy 1300 shares, which is 13x your original investment in terms of number of shares. Obviously the value would definitely be higher, but then I'm saying 13 times your original over a period of 40 years is just amazing, is it not? The other advantage is your yields will keep looking very attractive, because the market price could go up. You bought some share at $100, today it is $2,000, doesn't matter. You are looking at dividend yield on your original cost, and that is 7% or 9% or something like that, and you are thrilled, right? So that is what will happen as a dividend value investor. Somebody could call you a dividend investor, somebody could call you a value investor, and I would call you value dividend investor.